Morning, everyone. Welcome to this morning's edition of MPC Markets Morning Call, pre-market pulse, 2nd of July, 2025. Stocks were led lower overnight by Tesla as Trump threatened to deport Elon Musk. And now a Twitter spat broke out between these guys somewhere around the 8:30 p.m., 9:30 p.m. last night in Sydney time. Trump basically threatened to take away Elon's EV subsidies, and then he turned around and basically said, "Go ahead, do it." Tesla shares were down 7 or 8% leading into the open. Elon then responded by saying he was going to start his own political party, and then Trump was asked whether he would deport him, and he said he would look into it. So some pretty mature stuff there from the leader of the free world and the richest man in the world. So obviously, I think Tesla ended up around about down 5.5%. I think with the robo-taxi technology that's coming out and the test that he's running, and obviously the robots that are coming as well, I think they're talking about drone technology. I don't think the Tesla's going to see too much more downside, but obviously uncertainty not very good for the stock overall. Our plan is to probably look at buying Tesla into the next earnings, as we've said a number of times. So we'll hopefully we get lower prices as we lead into that. As you can see here on the market map, we've got the Mag 7 really being the dragger. We actually had a situation last night where the Dow was up and the Nasdaq was down, and then the divergence was quite pronounced actually. So you've got Nvidia, Broadcom, Meta, Netflix, and Tesla, Microsoft all down. Apple, I think, probably has become a bit of a defensive. Essentially, it's not really the growth end of the Mag 7 anymore. It's more the fact that it's sitting on a lot of cash. But as you can see, the rest of the market was actually relatively positive overall, and the banking sector still leading that. We're moving over to commodities. So gold, silver, copper, platinum, palladium all were very positive last night. Even crude to wake up to the fact that the trade deals the one with Japan is now in threat as well. Trump said overnight he's not extending any deadlines from the 9th, but you'd probably take that with a grain of salt, I would imagine. And online sentiment and social media sentiment. It's started, obviously, the acronym's now been, it's been shortened to an acronym of the BBB, Big Beautiful Bill. And it's starting to be, joked about that it's the Big Beautiful Bankruptcy. So, it only went past the Senate by one vote. You've got some real pushback from some of the Republicans now as well. And I would imagine with the threat of Elon Musk starting a political party, which he says would represent the 80% of Americans that are in the middle, not just the super rich and the super poor that the Democrats seem to sit at the either end. Maybe he gets some traction. And that is an absolute disaster for the Republican Party, because I would dare say they're going to get votes from both sides, but probably more so moderate Republicans coming, fleeing the party. Sorry, more conservative Republicans fleeing the party because they want some fiscal discipline here, and they can't. They're being bullied by Trump into approving a bill that essentially makes the debt $3 trillion worse before he goes out of power. There's Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, threatened to have Jerome Powell removed within the next couple of weeks as well. That would, potentially lead to lower rates, but it's still a voting system on the Fed. Look, that was watered down almost immediately, and it's, they're likely now to just be naming a successor because legally they can't fire him anyway. So we've now got market expectations for a rate cut in September over 90%. The economic data was a little bit softer, but Powell specifically outlined that the tariff inflation is the only reason they're not going this month. So he's really put it back on President Trump, and that's fair enough because that's the facts. So no matter how you want to spin it, tariffs are going to be inflationary. So there's still a lot of things up in the air at the moment. We still don't have a lot really left over for the rest of the week. I would expect today to be relatively quiet. Commodities may head a little bit higher, obviously led by gold. The SPI was up about 0.2% overnight. We did see a bit of a swing out of the banks back into the material sector yesterday, but we've seen that before for a day or two. Now, we've got retail sales today in Australia, and then obviously we've got non-farm payrolls tomorrow night leading into the July 4th holiday. I would expect progress on that on the triple B, the big beautiful bill, and to be getting done before July 4th, and then I would fully expect some form of threats and waving a big stick from Trump to try and get never going to happen. It might be close with India. Done. And realistically, the fact that the Chinese have really made very little comment about a trade deal with the US, but makes me very cynical that there's a trade deal being done there. So just a quick one this morning. I don't expect there to be much movement in the market. Have a good day,